Hiya fam, Vennstravaganza, Chapter 2, Part 4 and a half. So, continuing on what we were doing, I'm not going to do the whole speech and everything at the beginning, like, we're good. Continuing on from here, there are two other paints that contain PY42, and they are sand and buff. So sand I have labeled Roman numeral 20, and that contains PY6 and PY42. There are no other paints containing PY6. The buff I have labeled Roman numeral 21. That contains PW6, PO13, and PY42. And then there are two other paints that contain PO13. They have Vitamin C and Flirtatious. So the Vitamin C I have labeled Roman numeral 19, and it is just that single pigment, PO13. After that is Flirtatious, which I have labeled Roman numeral 35, and that contains PW20, PR101, PO13, and Pale Gold. There are no other paints containing Pale Gold. There's one other paint that contains PW20. That is Alchemy. The Alchemy I have labeled Roman numeral 36 and contains PW20, PY83, PB29, and Rich Gold. There are no other paints containing Rich Gold. And then also, these two are the only two metallic paints in all of the Jane Davenport sets. There's no other metallics anywhere else on this page. And actually, since we're talking about metallics, just so you know, metallics don't really scan well. They don't. So on this, you probably are able to see a decent amount of the shine with these, especially, you know, if we tilt, it really doesn't scan well, but they are metallic, I promise. What is next? Mango. There is one other paint that contains PY83, and that is Mango. The Mango I have labeled Roman numeral 13, and it is just that single pigment, the PY83. Moving on, there is one other paint that contains PW6, and that is Unicorn. Unicorn, I have labeled Roman numeral 17, and it is just that single pigment PW6. Now, I know some people might be confused because that's white on white. Is this really necessary? And to answer your question, no, not really, but part of it is just for the sake of consistency. And part of it is, do you know what? It's because I want to. It's my Venn diagram. How about that? I know it's kind of silly, but I am prone to silly things. And I also don't want to look at if I just see the outline and it doesn't look filled in, it will still bother me, and that's largely a personal problem, but you're watching my video, so this is you have to bear with me. How about that? What's next? There is one paint left containing PB29, and that is Blueberry. Blueberry, I have labeled Roman numeral 15, and it is just that single pigment, PB29. How is everyone's summer going so far? Well, winter. I mean, how have you been lately? I have not been on here in a little while. So, anything exciting? Let me know, because my curiosity always gets the best of me. But ideally, everything is going well for everyone, and maybe we're having good news with some people. Perhaps good news does exist. Gasp! We're fine here. I don't want to say that and have people think something is going like horribly wrong in the background. Like, we're okay. It's just things happen, and sometimes things mean delays. And this, you know, what did I say before? XYZ, XYZ? Yeah. But if you have good news that you want to share, we're all a little overdue for good news, so feel free to share. Blueberry. Cheers. There's also one paint left containing PI 101, and that is Kiss Kiss. Now, Kiss Kiss, I have labeled Roman numeral 23, and it is just that single pigment PI 101. And is it the last split one? Yeah, it is. I'm not fond of the split one. It just doesn't. Doesn't translate super well in my brain. do this a little quicker. That was on a little thick. Yes, please enjoy the A++ coloring skills that are happening today. I could have filled a water brush that was, I don't know, nice big old flat. That would be too easy. So, here we are. Kiss, kiss. Now, okay, so that addresses the bulk. Now for the stragglers. Now, there are two pigments that contain PR81, and they are Best Friend and Fairy Tale. Now, Best Friend, I have labeled Roman numeral 7, and it is just that single pigment, PR81. Fairy Tale, I have labeled Roman numeral 8, and it is also just that single pigment, PR81. And quite often I would try to color match as best as I can, but I want to say that these were actually fairly close. So I ended up just saying, it can be one color. At least for this one. Because that is good enough. There are two paints containing PR170. They are Frida and Apple. Now, the Frida I have labeled Roman numeral 9, and it is just that single pigment, PR170. Sorry, this is a tiny water brush tip, which is great in there. And slightly unnecessary over here. Apple. So Apple I have labeled Roman numeral 14, and it is the PR112 and PR170. Cheers. There is one paint that contains PY3, and that is Tresses. Now, Tresses I have labeled Roman numeral 30. It is just that single pigment, PY3. Actually, let me... Okay. Just grabbing a slightly bigger brush so that we don't grow old together by the end of the video. Just, you know. Because also, these didn't necessarily need to be that big. I just had them the same size. But, you know, those needed to be... But, you know, we're not going to worry about it right now. Yeah, that is what I will call adequate. Okay. And there are no other paints that contain the PY3. Now there are two paints that contain PR57:1. They are Ladybug and Ariel. Now Ladybug I've labeled Roman numeral 2, and it is just the single pigment PR57:1. Too much. Alrighty. Ariel, I have labeled Roman numeral 28, and that contains PR57:1 and PV23. It's also too much. Next is, there are two more paints that contain PV23, and they are Royal and Mystic. Now Royal I have labeled Roman numeral 11, and it is just that single pigment PV23. And then the next one you might find interesting, because now I checked, especially where I did not have these paints, I checked on multiple sites to make sure that I had all of the information, because, you know, I take my Venn diagrams fairly seriously. I want to give you good information, right? Now, not sure why, I thought of this the first time around, and I don't think it fully clicked, because pulling everything up and putting things in now, I have questions. So the last one, this one, Mystic. Mystic I have labeled Roman numeral 10. It contains, allegedly, PV23 and PB81. There are no other paints containing PB81. Now I double checked, and the color looks like that. So I'm pretty sure the last time I checked that blue plus purple did not make magenta. You know, it might be a conspiracy, but I think this was supposed to be PR81 and not PB81, and that the internet gave me the wrong information. Why did this not fully click the first time around? I am not sure. But that's what I had it as the first time around, so that's where that lives now. And I'm 99.9% certain that is actually, this should have just been, I'll fix it on the big one at the end. If anyone has this, so this would have been from the Jane Davenport Brights set, because it's Roman numeral 10. So if anybody has the Jane Davenport Brights and wants to confirm that for me, I think it might have been a typo, but also logic is telling me that is probably not right. But that's it. That's all the 36 colors. So let's run down the list really quickly just to compensate for not having swatches. So how am I going to do this? I'm just going to cite the Roman numeral number that I arbitrarily assigned to it, and the name, and that's it, because I don't want this to take 5 ever. That sounds good. So from the Jane Davenport Brights set, you have 1, which is Buzzy, 2, which is Ladybug, 3, which is Butterfly, 4, which is 70s Eyeshadow, 5, which is Mermaid, 6, which is Jiminy, 7 is Best Friend, 8 is Fairy Tale, 9 is Frida, 10 is Controversial Mystic, 11 is Royal, and 12 is Ink. So that was the Brights. And then the Jane Davenport Neutrals set was 13 is Mango, 14 is Apple, 15 is Blueberry. Technically, that's all blueberry. 16 is Dove, 17 is Unicorn, 18 is Raven, slightly awkward Raven, but that's that. 19 is Vitamin C, 20 is Sand, 21 is Buff, 22 is Spice, 23 is Kiss Kiss, and 24 is Cocoa. So that was neutrals. And then the Glitz-Sea set. So you have 25 is Water Spirit, 26 is Sylph, 27 is Nereid, 28 is Ariel, right? Yes. 29 is Frolicsome, 30 is Tresses, 31 is Sea Nymph, 32 is Enchantress, 33 is Lorelei, 34 is Sea Mist, 35 is Flirtatious, and 36 is Alchemy. So that's the Glitz-Sea set. So that makes all 36. And then, did we also, yeah, so we also did shout outs on the single pigment colors as we went through. So from the Brights palette, you have Buzzy, Ladybug, Butterfly, Mermaid, Best Friend, Fairy Tale, Frida, and Royal. Single pigments from the Neutrals palette included Mango, Blueberry, Unicorn, Raven, Vitamin C, and Kiss Kiss. And then the single pigment colors from the Glitz-Sea palette was just the Nereid and the Tresses. So that's all the singles. That is it. So that is all of the Jane Davenports in one. Friendly reminder, if you do want to see the high-res scans of these pages, including the swatches, which did not fit in this frame, please do check out my blog at gingersnapshot.wordpress.com. there is going to be a link in the description for you. It will have everything uploaded for your viewing pleasure. From here, we are going to breeze through the Prima sets, check that combo, throw it all together with the probable correction, and then, excuse me, probably just a really quick summation, finale type situation of just addressing that question of, if I had to pick just 2 of the sets that we covered, which would give me the most versatility. So it should be a smoother process from here, knock on wood, but we shall see. My question for you, my fellow mess makers, is actually completely unrelated to everything that we have discussed today. I mean, the usual nonsense. I would like to know your thoughts. Have you used the sets? Also, did the internet lie to me? I'm pretty sure it did. And all that stuff. But we have been wicked in it to win it with actually a reference photo scavenger hunt. My question for you, is there anything that you would like to see added to the scavenger hunt list so that I may or may not attempt to get some reference photos of it? Let me know. The weirder the better, I'm just saying. And that's it. Questions, concerns, sarcastic remarks, please do not be shy. Otherwise, until next time, take care.